We have John on the show usually once a month as he gives out some free legal advice and tries to help people. If you need some advice right now, call us at 866-977-3687. As a radio show, we prefer some juicy stuff, but we all know it's very important to you. We understand when you're in legal advice, you're in hot water, you don't know what's going on. It's very important to you, although it seems lame to us.
You're smart people. You know what controversial is, or you know if what you got going on is kind of juicy, like Terrence says. Yep. So that is what we're looking for.
John stopped me from killing a guy once.
Yeah, my general rule is always no murder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I appreciate it. Because of you, I'm not in jail. We have D has a question for you to kick things off, John.
Bring it, D. What's up, my friend?
Now, with everything going on with this particular thing called COVID-19, a.k.a. You might not have heard that, John. I'm sorry. But anyway, if like in California, late last night, they put into play the stay at home, stay in your place, shelter, or whatever.
Shelter in place, I believe.
Shelter in place, meaning everybody, y'all on lockdown pretty much. You're in the house. Essential people can go out like, first responders, hospital people, doctors.
Grocery store people.
I think, grocery store, pharmacists and stuff. I know TV falls under that where they could go to work. Do radio people fall under that?
I think it depends on the radio. We're getting into a unique area from the standpoint of the Constitution and civil rights and eminent domain and constitutional taking of rights. I get we've got to protect all members of the public, but I read that order last night. I slept 3 hours last night looking through all this stuff because it happened in Pennsylvania too, where they've now defined essential businesses. And I think my business and my clients are essential to me. Now I agree we need restrictions, but I read the governor's order, and I don't think it would pass constitutional muster. That said, we can't say, okay, everybody go out and live normally. But we're in a state. We also know from doing criminal defense that prosecutors are trying not to prosecute, and sheriff's officers are not trying to arrest on smaller things. And so, are they going to go door to door now and rip small businesses and radio shows up and throw them in jail or fine them? We just don't know that yet.
Because I briefly told the guys that Pennsylvania, the police were told, hey, if it's a nonviolent crime and it's not something that's serious, just let them. Don't arrest them. Don't bother them.
It's scary, and every day we're learning more information and kind of getting socially reprogrammed. And we've just got to, my buddy Carl Cole in law school, I've quoted for 20 years now, said things are never as good or as bad as they seem. And we got to keep that in mind that, we're going to recover. We're going to be okay. But on the same token, we've got to do this together. We can't panic. And if you're a part of the vulnerable population, elderly, people with underlying illnesses, do us a favor and double protect yourself. Quarantine yourself, keep people away from you. And it's easier said than done, but those are the ones that are at the ultimate risk. And we got to let shows like yours stay on air and inform and entertain. And people like me go out and protect people's civil rights and operate safely, and the mom and pop shop continue to earn a wage, so we don't have an entire economy collapse because we've depended upon, and I can't stress this enough, government officials who neglected and left 5 years of warning about this go unspoken and unreacted to now overreact or not react without thinking. it's just we're just in a crazy era, and
you throw people throwing stuff up against the wall to see if it works. A lot of this stuff just makes sense to me. If you stay indoors, you have a less chance of getting it.
Absolutely.
But I'm not one of those. I've never been one of those people that has to stand by my constitutional rights, and maybe that's weird of me. And because in our business, obviously, freedom of speech is a big thing for us. It's a huge thing. But I also don't think people should go out and have sex on the radio and things like that. I think that there's a line on everything, and we've always been that type of show.
And obviously somebody saw that a long time ago, and that's why there's an FCC. But, I agree with Terrence. There is a line, a professional should know what it is.
Correct. And if we all acted reasonably all the time, we wouldn't have these issues. But I did my first oral argument in front of the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, and I stopped my oral argument at a point because it was full of law students to explain to the law students that when I was in law school, I absolutely flubbed up a practice oral argument because I was nervous and I thought constitutional law and gun cases would never affect my daily life, and it's what I do most now. And people think of civil rights as police shooting cases, but there's eminent domain, there's constitutional takings, there's the violation of the right to have a business, there's exposure of a population to a virus unnecessarily, or taking away from others who don't or aren't rationally part of a class that's gonna spread it, that we just need to look at and consider while all being safe and sound. It's just, we're going to develop as lawyers. We're going to have a blog out by the end of the weekend, kind of explaining to people reasonably, not panicking of things coming down the pipe. But shows like yours who entertain and have entertained me since I started college are extremely important right now. And people need to laugh. People need to not be stressed out, because when we're stressed, our immune system's down. And so, kudos to you guys.
We don't want to get sick either.
Right.
It's weird. We're going to do whatever, the people suggest we do. But our goal is to stay on and just keep pumping along. So.
Yeah. And so this is the last question about that. When, because I do believe it's going to hit Texas at some point, where they're going to tell everybody, hey, stay indoors.
In Texas, you don't tell Texans what to do.
Right.
It's a lot of hard heads around here. But would it be safe to say once that comes out, if you take a look at it, or would it be safe to say just contact my local authorities?
Contact me first of all, and we'll try to we'll try to give guidance where we can. People can always email me at jmp@floridajustice.com with unique situations as this thing progresses. But it's going to be a case by case thing, and y'all are in a. I mean Terry. I don't think it's any secret. Terry does his show away from you guys, and there's ways you guys can kind of modify to do your jobs, and educate and entertain.
That could get in the way too.
Correct.
Being in two different places.
It does.
Yeah, with modern technology, it helps our industry at least.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And what I meant by that is, like, if the rules are different for you locally where you are, like you can't come in, or that type of deal. Are police now going to go? The analogy is right now is some of the hurricane evacuations that happen in Florida, and it's always been, what they're going to do is deprive you of services if you refuse to abide by the orders, short of an absolute quarantine order. And I think we're headed in that situation. People should listen to government and law enforcement, period. But they can't act unconstitutionally or overbroad. And that's going to be the fine line that lawyers and government officials need to look at
and protect people. I mean, I literally was up till 3:00 worrying about, paying for 17 families that we employ, because we are headed into the unknown, and it's scary, and we owe your listeners and our friends and potential clients answers now and safeguards to prevent an absolute collapse.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to keep our eye on this, and we're going to keep you on call, man. We may have to talk to you a couple times a week.
Yeah, I got you on speed dial, and I've actually kind of been doing a little research myself as far as listening to radio shows similar to what we do in LA this morning to see if they in there.
No, they're there. All right, let's take a couple calls here. Let's try Doug in Freakville. Doug, you're on Lexington. You're on with Attorney John Phillips. Go ahead.
Doug.
Are you there, Doug?
Doug's gone.
I'll scratch Doug's name off.
You there, Doug? I thought his name was Dong until I put my glasses on.
That's why you were laughing?
Yeah.
I was wondering.
He's got a dong.
He's got a dong on line.
All right, let's go to Eric. Eric, you're on Lexington. Hi.
Givers.
Us.
So, you try to make this short. Yesterday, a customer, I'm in the car business, a customer was coming into the dealership, or a salesperson was going to pick them up and bring them to the dealership. And earlier in the day, she had text messaged the dealership stating that one of her coworkers had coronavirus, and they shut the entire place down at her work and sent her home. And we found out about it, contacted her. She said she didn't have any contact with the person at all, but, worked in the same building. And so I went to my manager about it, and he just basically said, as long as she wasn't exposed to it or anything like that, that it was okay that she came in. And basically said, do your job, and, I had a pregnant wife at home and stuff like that, so I was concerned about it. And I don't really want to take any legal action. I just want to know, is there anything that, they should do?
Yeah, what would you do, John?
Everything we just talked about, this is the problem, is people who expose and people who don't take that seriously enough out of their own greed or lack of concern or ignorance. And that's, that's what we're going to get. Like yesterday, I spent time looking in determining whether insurance policies and case law allow those people to get sued, allow businesses to get sued. What's workers' comp going to do? All of these decisions. But you know what? That's all too late. That's all after the fact, after pregnant wives have been affected and now are in a hospital with too few respirators. And so, what kind of business is it?
I'm in the car business.
That's right. You said that. So
I'm the finance manager. So they literally have to, sit in front of me at my desk,
right,
and sign paperwork, and I'm responsible for all the paperwork that they touch, sign.
Well, I'm surprised the car business doesn't have their, come on for Corona Week.
Right. A lot of them have already paid. A lot of them have prepaid for these, for ads. I don't have an answer, but if there's a mass infection because they did wrong, there's going to be issues with liability. Some states have some criminal statutes that may apply. Most of them are pretty specific that it's only addressed to STDs as communicable diseases. If you knowingly or grossly negligently spread them, the law just hasn't caught up with this. But there may be civil liabilities that we can address after the fact. But again, that doesn't help prevent the problem. And employers need to take this seriously, and you know, there's two types of businesses. There's two ways businesses can address this. One is determine who's coming into your office and who you're employing, and keep those away who are unknown. You don't know who they are or where they've been, and you don't know who they're with on a daily basis. And those can, not operate as business as usual, but try to keep things going and maintain. And then there's those that deal with the public every day. And what should they do? Should they go out of business? But it's how do you sell cars cyber? We're just in a problem.
Who's going out and buying them? You're an idiot.
Right. But
that's one thing. There's not very many people, but this lady was in a situation where she didn't have a car. We had to go pick her up. She was paying out. And there are alternative ways for her to for us to get the
John, we're up against the break.
Car off at her house.
Right.
We're up against the break, John.
Thanks, Eric.
Close that one up really quick.
All right, we're done with that one.
We got a little under 3 minutes left. Let's go to Sam on line 3. And John, this got to be wrapped up in.
That one was easy.
Bye, Sam.
Okay, let's try Sid. Sid in Freakville. You're on Lecture Terry. We don't have a lot of time. Go ahead, Sid.
Hey, I just had a quick question. I work for a pretty big healthcare facility, and they're trying to say that I'm non-essential staff and that I shouldn't have to be here. And what they're trying to do is make me take my vacation time instead of my sick time. So I was wondering if that's something they could do with this new act that's in place. I know it's got something to do with like 500 employees or something, but I was just trying to find out about that.
Good question.
First of all, I'm not positive that the new act is fully in place yet. I don't think it all depends on what happens, today and tomorrow. But employers in most state are at will. We may have to answer part of this after the break, but it's really a case by case situation with employment. Employers can both enact FMLA, which is basically hold your job for unpaid leave, and or offer their vacation up and try to maintain the status quo, and or furlough people. Even my wife took a 20% involuntary pay cut, which we were glad to do just to keep her job. So it's a case by case situation.
Sid, good luck, man, and thanks for calling. And by the way, John, how can people get a hold of you? We're not done with you yet, but how can people get a hold of you?
The best way is email jmp@floridajustice.com. I'm live on my Facebook right now at facebook.com/PhillipsJohn, Twitter @John Phillips. You guys know I'm a DM away from trying to help people.
Exactly. And if you have a question for John right now, call us at 866-977-3687. Do another segment here with free legal advice. This COVID thing's starting to take over, man. That's what all the calls are about. This is interesting.
It is. We maybe should do this, more often.
Yeah, this is good. This is good right now.
Yeah, under this situation, probably not a bad idea. A lot of cloudy situations on those last 3 phone calls.
It is, and I'm going to spend this weekend getting up to speed. Like I said, we're going to have a full blog about it. It's just interesting and kind of it's just crazy times.
Yeah, I mean, it's something you can't have a real answer for. So it's just we do the best we can with common sense. Some people can't even do that.
That's kind of what got us in this situation in the first place. To some extent.
He just said it all.
He just farted, so you get a wish, John. All right, we have to take a break coming up here in a second, all right? And we'll do that now. More John Phillips coming up next.
Lex and Terry.
So that's how it works. Then I go on hold while they're in commercial break, and that's what I kind of had a feeling today would be to be COVID day. That there's a lot of unknown about how things work, and I can't be. Yeah. What's up?
Yeah. when you're throwing down with answers, try to wrap them up as quick as possible and try to get to as many people as possible.
Yeah, that's right. I think we laid a predicate there. It was just, COVID is going to be the theme of the day.
The thing had to be done for sure.
Yeah.
And but some of these you can just tell by the people where you can go fast on and what's.
Yeah, I also can't see your board, but I'm with it. We'll get through.
You want me? No, you're fine, man. You want me to text what's up there?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Right now we just got a guy named Randall in Panama City. He has a 2-year-old with a fever. They won't test him, and that's what he wants advice on. Oh,
it's crazy where we are with lack of kits, and I again, as a reminder, I'm on Facebook Live, but we were in New York when all this stuff was breaking because I had that Omarosa versus Trump hearing, which went great, by the way, and I was riding subways and everything else from Tuesday to Saturday, and I'm not sure we didn't come back with it a month ago. Right. But nobody would know. If I knew that I was already immune, I'd be out helping people. But there's not enough kits to even test. There is a way to test those that are immune to see if they have the antibody, but it's just we're just so vastly underprepared because we were worried about the wall. Meanwhile, the wall isn't going to protect this germ.
Right. That's frustrating. I mean, beyond frustrating, really. Timing couldn't be worse.
It can't be, and I'm just worried about what it's going to do long term. We could totally all come out of this loving each other and appreciating each other more, or like my paralegal can't find essentials because everybody's hoarding it, to the point now stores are saying you can't bring stuff back because some people have bought so much toilet paper that they need refunds to be able to buy something else, and it's just preposterous where we find ourselves.
Well, I'll put you back on hold. Go ahead and do your Facebook thing, and Randall's who's up there next, as long as he's there, and I'll text you the other one. So keep an eye on your phone.
All right, brother. Love you. Thank you.
Yeah, you too.
This may be one of the most important things I've done. And this is how it works. And we're going to put this whole thing up live. That's the stuff that people don't hear and see, is the conversations like Lex and I have when we're preparing. This isn't just a gimmick. I've been doing this with them since, 2011. It all started where I was on 1010XL doing a show called Courts and Sports. And thanks to 1010XL, they set me up with these guys, and then they fired them, and I wound up representing them in a lawsuit against 1010 for breach of contract. And we prevailed, and they were taken off the air. We're off the air for a little bit in Jacksonville. They actually started in Jacksonville International, and we've developed friendships. I mean, that's what I've done with Jordan Davis's family and Khalil McCoy's family and Aaron Joyne's family and people we know and love. And I think that's what sets us apart. But right now, it's really, we're all in a panic, and we're all concerned about what to do and how this is affecting us. And employers don't know what to do. And we just need more reasonable information, and not necessarily, and I'm not a fake news guy. I hate that term. But we've got to stop freaking out, and truly love each other more. If that doesn't come from, if that comes from this, then, we'll all be better. But if it doesn't, and we're more isolated and yelling at each other and taking each other's, toilet paper, I don't know what's going to happen. You can ask questions here during commercial breaks. Let me see what Jamie has. So since I am going to read them though. So I worked at a corner store, hypothetically speaking. If a group of people were to come in and flash mob, try to grab and go, can I legally lock them inside till JSO arrived? First of all, that's dangerous, probably, if you're locking people inside with you. If you're locking them outside, you and your employer could potentially be liable for a false arrest or malicious prosecution, depending upon what they did. I would be really careful with that, but it depends on what they were doing at the time. So, yeah, false entrapment. I mean, that's what somebody else said. It is dangerous, and you could also, I mean, what's somebody going to do inside? I mean, you get a caged involuntary person. Look how people acted over the Popeyes chicken sandwich. Yeah, it's crazy. All right, here we go. Back on air with Lex and Terry nationwide. You can tune into your radio dial or just listen right here.
All right, John. We have John Phillips. John, we texted you a couple there. We said we'd go to Randall, so let's go ahead and do so right before we went to break. Randall, you're on Lex and Terry and with John Phillips. How you doing?
Oh, pretty good, sir.
So what's up?
How you doing, Mr. John?
Hey.
Okay, Friday night. Can you hear me?
Yeah. And your bird.
Friday. Yeah, let me go inside.
That's all right. That's fine.
Friday night, my 2-year-old had a febrile seizure. If I'm familiar with that, it's from a fever spike, where it looks like he just passes out.
Oh wow!
So he was rushed to. It's scary. It's the second time it's happened, so we knew what was going on, because the first time it just was. My wife thought he was dead. I mean, he was just. Year-old.
All right, so
he was rushed. He was rushed to the hospital. They checked for flu. They checked for pneumonia. They checked for everything, and everything was negative. And I asked the doctor. I said, "Can y'all check for corona?" They're like, "Oh, we don't even have a test for that." I said, "Okay." So they said maybe it's just something viral. It's So they give him Tylenol, blah blah blah. This was last Friday. Tylenol, Motrin switch. 2 days later, we checked it. It's still 105, 103. After Tylenol, so we brought him back, and they're like, well, sorry, I mean, we don't have the test. And if we do suspect it, if you left the country or something like that, or if you come in contact, we'll let the health department know, and the health department will come to you. And then Thursday, every day it was fever. And yesterday it was, last night she checked in, it was 101.2. And it's just like, here it is 7 days later, and they're saying they're not going to test. And that's why you ain't hearing nothing in Panama City Beach. They're still on the beaches having fun, making money. But here it is, my wife had fever yesterday, and I got a 1-year-old, but he had 99.6 last night. But I'm just curious. My question was, if something really happens to this child, what the hell? What can I do?
Yeah, so, we're getting into 7 different types of analysis, and I got to keep these things short so we can help as many people as possible. But it could be medical malpractice, it could be unconstitutional, it could be other issues that we face down the road. The question that I would have is, when this happened before, I assume that was before Corona, and was there a fever then?
Oh, before he was 18 months old. This is when he was in Texas. We used to live in Dallas.
So this is pre-corona it happened.
Well, the febrile seizure, yes. That's from a fever spike, I've learned, where the child's fever spikes. But that's, yes.
And so that is something doctors can take into account, that this is something that's happened. And kids tend, and again, I'm not a doctor, but kids tend not to get it, according to everything we hear, until it mutates. Lord forbid if this thing starts striking kids, we're all in a desperate place. But we don't have enough test kits. Doctors are doing the best they can. We've got to defer to them in extreme frustration and deal with the consequences of what the position government has put them in after the fact. So I don't have an answer.
I appreciate it.
But
everybody else is quarantined, and here it's like spring break, and everybody's just still partying on.
Well, I think they're shutting that down too, aren't they?
They are.
No, not Panama City Beach.
It's coming. The Florida governor is pretty up on this, and again, how do you enforce it? Are you going to put people in jail that might be exposed and sick? They got a real problem on their hands in multiple ways, but your frustration is shared by many.
I have a solution for it.
What you got?
I have a solution for it. You build these tents with all these dumb kids out there that are acting like just a-holes, and you let them get all the disease together, then you torch the tent at the end of the day.
Oh, come on.
I'm just saying, it's an option.
The new Burning Man.
Don't shut down a good idea here, okay? Just because I've got a D or an R by my name.
Once again, these are just ideas.
Okay, thanks, Randall. Good luck, buddy. We wish you the best for you and your child and your wife, bud.
Yeah, sorry about your week, man. That's tough.
All right, we have Letitia. Hi, you're on Lex and Terry calling from Freakville. Go ahead.
Letitia.
LaPusha.
Hey.
Hi, everyone. Hi. This is Natasha Hobbs here.
Hi, you're on with John.
I have a question. Hi, John. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, and sadly, our mayors of the city have called for restaurant and bar closures, mom and pop shops and so forth. They're enforcing the social distancing and things like that. But I've noticed the gun industry is still booming here in Jacksonville. People are driven by fear because of the pandemic, and they're swarming these gun stores. So my question is, if someone contracts the COVID-19 virus while purchasing the firearms, can the gun stores, can they be held liable for not practicing the restrictions that our government has put in place?
That is the question of the day. So first of all, to prove negligence or causation of a disease or communicable disease like COVID, you've got to prove causation. And so with a 2 to 14 day incubation period, who's to say it was the gun store that you caught it or somebody caught it? So that is a problem that is going to inhibit lawsuits. My second part of the analysis is you are 100% right that we are in probably an irrational panic mode. As a lawyer who handles more cases where someone has been on the wrong side of the bullet, like on Facebook, Trent Fort's mom just tuned in and he was murdered. And we had 15,000 deaths via gun last year and we didn't react. And now we're putting more guns and more fear and more panic and more desperation in. And don't get me wrong. I messaged, I thought about with my family, do we need another one? And we can't jump to that. But to go back to your question, it's going to be hard to prove that was the cause, but all businesses need to absolutely be more responsible.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Letitia, thanks for the call, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, there you go. John Phillips with us, of course. Go ahead, D.
I just need to know, John. I saw a headline, and I need to know if I need to be worried.
What's the headline?
O.J. Simpson said he'll go crazy if they keep these golf courses closed any longer. Do I need to stay away from O.J.?
I think everybody needs to stay away from O.J., but that's a whole different story.
Oh, man.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, O.J. said he got to play his golf, man. And he did a video the other day, which at first I was like, you crazy, O.J., but then I thought again, no, you might be right. He did some betting on the golf course with some friends. They paid him in cash. He came back to his house and spreaded all the money out on the table because I guess he won. And then sprayed the money down with Lysol.
You're a friend. Let's see, he's sending mixed messages again.
I don't know what he was doing.
Our criminal defense unit takes in cash, and this week they handed me cash for a bank, to put it in the bank, and it was damp with Lysol or Purell or something, and I appreciated it, but I'm like, okay, I get it. But all this time in the past, I've been handling, I guess, because they talk about what nastiness is, fecal matter and everything that's on money. And I'm like, now we're actually sanitizing cash because we have to. It's just an interesting time.
Yeah, I'm not happy about this. It's really weird because I have this really good feeling about 2020 in general, and I still do. But right now, it's they're getting a very bad Yelp review for me. 2020 is.
We're all gonna be Karen. We're all gonna be Karen looking at 2020, saying, what are you doing? We're gonna complain to the manager. The problem is it's the manager that got us into this problem in the first place.
It's tough. This is a tough thing. Well, anybody else have any questions for John? You can call it 866-977-3687. Got him for a few more minutes here.
So, John, is most of the stuff you're dealing with in the past couple of weeks attached to this somehow? Do you have any cases going right now that are non-COVID?
Yeah, I mean, everything we're doing right now is non-COVID. We're getting slowly some calls about it, but the problem is they're not right. We don't do employment law per se, and we're sending those out to firms that do. But we're getting more inquiries, but most of the cases, most of the issues aren't ripe yet. Like last week, Hamilton, the musical was coming to Jacksonville, supposed to be here tonight. And the theater was obviously closed. The tour was obviously canceled because the theater was closed and people couldn't get refunds. And so the first letter we sent out was like, hey, people need this money to buy groceries and the theater's not refunding it. And it's little things like that. And that is going to be a huge issue is who bears the risk of loss of cancellation and what happens if those businesses, can't pay, groups that put on concerts, groups that put on, mom and pop festivals or whatever. There's just so much risk of loss from business money that's going to be written off or unpaid.
Yeah, I'm going through something right now. I reserved something for the first part of the month through one of those. I don't know. I forget it. I don't know how much time I got. So
not enough. But hold on to that thought, Terrence. We'll get to it when we return. We got Attorney John Phillips on. Call us at 866-977-DOIS. This is Lex and Terry.
Commercial break. They might have some chat during the commercial break. But again, John Phillips live on Lex and Terry. This is the first time we've ever done a Facebook Live. I can take your questions certainly while we're...
Do we want John for one more segment, or are we done?
This is how it works.
What do you think?
I guess we could do one more since we started the whole thing. So
yeah.
We have calls in queue?
There's one call coming in. I don't know what it is yet.
Okay.
Also.
I mean, we can just do a partial segment too. Whatever you guys want. I mean, it's wild to me, and I get it, but it's 100% of the calls are COVID related, which just tells you where we are. Here's a crazy thing. Like our divorce unit is already getting busier. I guess, as a reaction, our criminal defense is down because prosecutors aren't prosecuting as well and people aren't arresting as much. It's just, there's just these weird and wild reactions. I guess crashes cases are going to be down because people aren't on the roads as much. It's just weird. How are y'all doing? Hey, Terry, how's Seattle?
Yeah, get rid of him.
John Phillips again. This is kind of the production of what happens live on Lex and Terry. Thanks, Lizzie. By the way, sorry about what happened. Live on Lex and Terry during commercial breaks. So, I started at a quarter till. So we're And I'm sorry I can't stop touching my face, but I do keep using this stuff.
Essential personnel.
But we're about 50 minutes in on Lex and Terry.
Time and a half when it goes into overtime.
This is kind of what we do. We kind of do production during commercial breaks. It's I don't know why I'm being quiet. I've got it on mute, but side piece. Uber dried up, and again, that's it's the little things like that is unfortunate. The service industry and what it's doing, people getting terminated left and right. I just, I don't sleep sometimes worrying about people on a regular Tuesday. You can tell by my red eyes that last night was a 3 hours of sleep night, worrying about and trying to prepare for the future of this thing. I feel like I owe the public and my friends and our potential clients more at times like this, because we can't just shut down and pretend it's not going to affect people. I've made commitments to clients that have serious problems and aren't just going to be on hold during this period. It's for our injury clients, their injuries aren't going to go on hold. For our people who've lost a child or lost a loved one, their grief isn't going to go on hold. For people in divorce, their support obligations and their misery isn't going to go on hold. For the people who have been arrested and are in jail, they're spending time in jail. That's not going to go on hold. And with courts closing, it's just they don't know what to do. And in some states, you're in a situation where some counties and jurisdictions don't have the resources. They don't have phones. They don't have laptops for judges to work at home, whereas some do. And so even the Florida Supreme Court is entering order saying that the chief judge can determine what they need to do based upon the court's resources. So we're literally having poor judges strapped with decisions based upon what resources they have. It's crazy what's going on even in the law. Informed that an ex-brother-in-law is in critical condition in Jax. Is that with the corona? I'm sorry to hear that. 44. It's my age. We'll keep them in prayer. What's up, Spinner? How's Australia dealing with this? Y'all have issues. I guess everybody does. What's up, Franklin? How's Alabama? Again, John Phillips back on live on Lex and Terry. We're doing this Facebook Live for the first time. You get to hear kind of what we do during commercial breaks. We'll have a few more questions, and then I got to go back to work. But we've done this for about 8 years now, where I answer listener questions. Here we go.
All right. Like I was explaining to Attorney John Phillips here, we do have time for a couple calls at 866-977-DOUS. It's very funny. I'm just noticing this. There's this company. It's like an Airbnb company. They're called Paradise Retreats. And it's the second time I've used them. I've got a vacation coming up. We did have a vacation coming up for the first week of April.
Yes.
This is in Santa Barbara, California. My wife, Sherry, got a hold of them and said, hey, obviously we can't come. They've shut down the entire state. There's nothing to do, no restaurants, no nothing. We paid up front in full, and then they said, we'll give you half a refund. And not happy with that, obviously.
No.
So I went on their Instagram page, and I left a comment about one of their posts, and I noticed right now they've taken it down. They've deleted it.
So, John, Does he have any recourse there?
He does. Everybody's got your first step is look at the contracts and what where they're defining risk of loss and what happens. And most contracts didn't possibly contemplate this. And there's clauses called force majeure and act of God. And, lawyers are going to have to look at the craziest of contracts. But most cancellations, they're probably required to give you a refund. But most people aren't defaulting to that because they're afraid of losing the revenue and what's going to happen next. And they'd rather be sued than give full refunds. And here you have a suppression of speech to hide the fact that they're doing a bad policy. They've got a bad policy, but it's not constitutionally protected speech because they're not a government actor. So it's wrong, but it's not illegal. But we're just, again, that's the call we're getting most is how do I get this money that I need back? Because who bears the loss for my cancellation because I couldn't do something because of shutdown?
Yeah, exactly. Can I say one thing?
Yes.
Because I'm running into this problem and I'm handling it differently. But if I wanted to, case in head, I've taken deposits and some pay in full up front for me to DJ gigs. In my contract, it says your deposit, which is half of the full amount, is non-refundable because I've taken that day out of rotation.
Right.
And now if you want your money back, I've lost money on that day if somebody else comes and asks for me that day. That may be what they're trying to shoot at you, Terry. I don't know because I haven't seen your contract.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's why they may be saying we'll give you half.
Well, they're going to have fun with me. We'll just put it that way.
But with me, in my case, because of the people that I'm dealing with, I've dealt with for years. I'm talking about schools that I've had. I just gave them all their money back.
Right.
And say, hey, if we could get another date, let me know that another date, and then we'll move forward.
I mean, the worst case scenario, I'll just schedule. I'll just see if they'll change the date. But I don't want to have to do that. I want to, I don't want to have to do that. So, all right, we got some more calls up here. Let's go. John Phillips with us, by the way. If you're just waking up and just tuning in, he's a pretty damn famous attorney. You've probably seen him on all your 24-hour news networks as they always consult him, and he's our guy.
He is.
Man, look at that. Let's go to I guess it's Jordan. Jordan, you're on Alexa Terry with John Phillips. Go ahead.
Jordan,
are you there? There's no Jordan.
Right. We got Hadley on line 3.
All right, Hadley in Sioux Falls.
Yeah. Hey, got a question for you, John. A few years back, I was an adjuster for a major insurance company, and never really had I was a car adjuster, basically, but we looked at boats and everything. Long story short, had to get in the back of a boat because I had to look at some engine that blew up and stuff and had to get photo documentation, Long story short, they don't provide a ladder to get in and out of the boat, and so I elected to jump out the boat and then ended up having 2 back surgeries. Why is there no rep recourse against the insurance company for not providing equipment for us to do our job?
Did you make a workers' comp claim?
Yeah.
So here's how that generally works, and there could be liability outside of the employer, but So the way the system was set up in as shortest form possible is, in order for employers to take care of employees, they set up workers' comp. By setting up workers' comp, they absolutely prevented most employers from being sued third-party liability, which provides pain and suffering and mental anguish and future losses. So it was people talk about hating socialism, but in some aspects, workers' comp is a form of socialism, capitalism-based socialism. So that is your remedy was workers' comp. Unless there's a third-party liability for the boat owner or something like that. How long ago did it happen?
16, I was injured.
2016?
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk offline. You know, it gets into a 5-minute conversation. And we're licensed in, you know, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, New York, and DC. I grew up in Mobile, listening to Lex and Terry on TK 101. By the way, plug. But let's talk. Let's talk offline.
Okay.
904-444-4444.
There you go.
904-444-4444. All right, Hadley, thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it.
All right, Getters.
All right, there you go. And, John, we appreciate your time this morning, man. It's a very busy time, and I'll tell you what, if we have some other, like, calls throughout the month, we'd love
we can't handle.
That we can't handle. We'd love to see if you're around to help some people out throughout the month.
Totally. You know, as always, love you guys. Appreciate you guys. You know, you keep plugging me as famous, but, you know, I'm just a dad. I'm just a friend. You know, I'm just a guy who's trying to help trying to help people. And as always, I can't thank you guys enough. Appreciate y'all coming to Jacksonville this year. It's really I just love you guys.
Back at you, John. We'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks for all your information.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
All right. Coming up.
And that's how it works. An hour live with Lex and Terry answering questions. Hey, Mama Bortles. I guess the golf tournament was canceled. That stinks. Y'all, Blake's still out here raising money and helping people and just a good guy. Family is great people. Spinner, I just missed saying hi, but that, you know, doing live Lex and Terry, been doing it for 7 years. It's really important. As you could hear, all but one call was COVID related. We're working on blogs. We're trying to get information out that's a little different than what you see on the news. You know, we're not panicking about it. We're trying to be prudent. You know, my best advice is, if you have losses, keep tabs of those losses. If you run a business, there may be business interruption insurance. If you've been wrongfully exposed, you know, keep tabs and keep notes on how those things are happening. But as a practical point, try to insulate yourself from others, but particularly from others who are around or exposed to the elderly or infirmed, people with genetic or you know, kind of environmental respiratory issues. You know, if we keep that population as isolated as possible, they're the ones that seem to get the worst of this. And so, you know, we've got to protect, you know, as I said on Facebook a couple of days ago, the Nana and Poppies, the people we love. You got to protect them the most and try to hold back resources. But again, we'll put this whole thing on live on Facebook. You know, an hour live with Lex and Terry answering questions. Most of them are questions that people have about COVID related legal questions. And so again, I'm wrapping up. But I truly love y'all. We've had, you know, about 100 people on and off today. And you know, we're going to continue to do this. We may do this outside of Lex and Terry. The questions were so good. But you know, I truly appreciate y'all. We're going to be here through the storm, you know, day in, day out, helping people. You know, we may, whatever's behind me may be a little different depending upon where we move. That's Abe Lincoln and Harry Truman, by the way. You know, the buck stops here, literally right next to my desk. You know, there's a little tour. We got Dr. King. We got Dr. King and the original Hamilton. And here's a weird one. So this is a piece of hair from Washington, Hamilton, and King George. You know, they actually put out like baseball cards with pieces of hair on them. And we kind of covered the Hamilton people. It's such a weird thing to have, isn't it? But leave it to me to have weird things. There was an article in Folio about the Hard Rock of Justice, and when we get in the new office, we're going to have some of this stuff set up and displayed. We can't wait to get in the new office. But again, thanks all. We'll keep you guys in covered in prayer, no matter your religion, no matter your faith. We've got to be there to love each other, support each other. That transcends all faiths. Love, and keep up the awesome. And I'm getting a little emotional, but love you guys. Keep it up. Talk to you soon. Justice for Trent. Absolutely. Bye, guys.